Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Pod. This is catching up with Kieran over coffee about Cronulla and other things, brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Crips and Crips Real Estate. My name is Sam Shinazzi. I'm an OG from 2015, and we are about to enter our 12th season. Not sure if we're officially there yet. We're on the edge of it, that's for sure. But it's our pleasure to bring you another episode of SharkCast Pod. Lots going on behind the scenes to make your 2026 season even more brighter than what it's going to be. But until we get there, let's talk about some things going on in the current world. Kieran Fraser on the other end of this line. How are you, my friend?
I was going great, and I'm doing as good as any parent who has young children at this time of year with Halloween and that spooky,
Oh,
spooky
dude.
skeleton song. My goodness, I
Oh,
can't get it out of my head. And now, as soon as we sat down, I hadn't thought about that song in ages, and now spooky, spooky skeletons is just all I can hear in my head.
see, I'm past that. I'm past that because I don't even know the song, but I'm more concerned about the blood and guts side of things, and whoever's responsible for bringing this into our society. I'm not happy as someone who fears creepy crawlies and that kind of stuff. Like, just stop it. Go away. It's out of control. And my least favorite week of the year now. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Caringbah South goes absolutely off with Halloween decorations. There is one house down at the bottom near Burnie Bay Road, and it's like the Caringbah corpse. It's like a cemetery that they've built. And the one and on Burnie Bay Road, there is like one house that's a duplex that has the like 5 to 10, like 6 foot plus monsters in their yard. And I'm looking at it going, where are you storing this stuff? Like,
Yeah,
where does it go?
it's the same people at Christmas, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I think it says a lot about people down your end of the town, my friend.
Well,
having
we've got
said
stuff
that,
out at our house.
all over the Shire, all over the world, people are doing this. We haven't come here to do Halloween cast, but I appreciate you raising it because it is a bit of a grievance around me at the moment too. Now, speaking of Christmas, cheap plug coming right now, Kieran, because a small portion of our audience follow my music career. New single coming out December 5th. It's called Christmas Time. Don't freak out. It's not the usual Christmas song as you can imagine if you've heard my music. It's a little bit more somber, bit more melancholic. December 5, it'll be everywhere. We'll remind you about that closer to it, but that's exciting for me. Album out January 17. Now, lots going on in the world, Kieran. You were down at Cronulla, which we're going to talk about later on. We're going to get to the footy right now, but remind me later on, we'll talk about our weekend in Cronulla. There was lots of footy on the weekend. Kieran, there was a big international match, lots of international matches, I should say. It was a big test match overnight, Saturday to Sunday. Australia comprehensively beat England. England had their chances. There were no Sharks playing, which was unfortunate. And we saw a couple of the guys on the weekend play for their respective countries as well. And we saw this crazy game in Queensland, which was affected by a big storm. And we saw Samoa beat Tonga 34-6, but the atmosphere was unbelievable. They've only played once in 3 years, Kieran. We got to make this an origin 3 times a year thing, surely.
Yeah, and you got to move it around. So I love that they did it in Brisbane this time. I think that the finals are going to be down at Parramatta, so a little
Oh,
bit more Western Sydney. But typically they play it over in like Auckland and things like that. So I think the more that those two countries play each other, the better. And it's weird because they both seem to have like different peaks. Like one will be going really well, then the other will go down. But like on paper, I was looking at those teams and I couldn't tell who was going to win before that game, right? So it's so good, and I think Fafita deserves a lot of credit. And he did get some credit during the week, which was nice to see. But like, it's completely shifted international football since him and Tamalolo did that, and then
yeah.
has become this whole thing now where it's October, November, and we've still got football to look forward to. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so a big shout out to our mate Dave Riccio, who did a piece on Andrew Fafita. Did a couple of nice stories on the weekend, but that was the highlight for us Sharks fans. And it was basically the story of how Andrew chose his allegiance regarding football, and Jason Tamalo did the same thing at the same time, and it culminated in other guys going there now, and it's turned into this amazing event where there's what was it, 45,000 people, I think, at the game. So
Yeah.
huge atmosphere as well. Like if we're always banging on about atmosphere and how we want more at our favorite local park. Like this is where it was at. So great stuff. Go check out the Riccio article. There's a video on it as well, where they're just chatting about what happened. Fafita's he's such a big softie in a lot of ways. We know he's got another side to him, and we're not disputing that, but he's such a big softie when it comes to family and tradition and that kind of thing. And it's really good to see him be acknowledged for that, because it's a definite turning point in the international level on that side of things. We saw a few other Sharks running around, but let's go to some more specific Cronulla things right now, my friend. And we haven't touched on it yet because after we did our episode last week, the news broke, and so did Ronaldo Mulatalo's knee. It broke as well in an ACL kind of way. He will be missing for a large part of the year. He played on, brave, and took a few days to actually get to it. There was a few things rumbling around Shark Nation about a Ronaldo injury. They couldn't confirm what it was until I think it was the Tuesday or Wednesday. And if he hasn't had surgery, he's about to have it. Not great. What does this mean for the Sharks half of the year, Kieran? How are you feeling about this?
Well, it really reminds me of the Liam Eisen, Will Kennedy situation for this year, because we were kind of talking about Stone Street and Katoa having a bit of a shootout because Ronaldo's locked down one position. But now with Ronaldo out, it's opened up that avenue for Stone Street to play there. Either maybe Katoa switches sides or Stone Street switches. I'm not too sure which is Stone Street's preference. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I know Katoa can play both sides. So, look, potentially there'll be a change there. It also frees up some potential for us to put in a claim for some salary cap relief, which I think might change a few things with some of the stories that are getting reported at the moment right now. I think you can claim up to $350,000 or something like that.
Ooh,
I
okay.
was reading something like that, because you don't get the full contract value, but you can get like an associated dollar number. Somebody I'm sure can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I think I read 350. So again, potentially we've got some cash to go out there and try and bring someone to the club a little bit earlier. I think knowing the club, though, will develop from within. I don't think we will necessarily go in the market on that, but it's just such a shame that it's happened. I think the only good part about this situation is it's happened in October, and so he gets the full off season to recover, and then hopefully we get him back around 15, round 16, something like that, best case scenario. So devastating to see.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly the form that he was in all year round, and he was playing good rep footy. And I've seen even things like we've spoken about what he means to us as far as leadership on the field with his yapping and with his inspirational runs, etc., and how that's going to be missing. And there were headlines like, premiership in jeopardy and that kind of thing. And I think that's a bit of a stretch, but obviously they will be missing a lot of what he does. I do think Stone Street will come straight in. There are other options there. You could go with a Marwini, whose strength is not on the wing, to be clear. He's more of a center fullback. He can play on the wing, but wouldn't rule it out. There's some young fellas coming through. There's some young centers you could chuck out in the wing. I don't think that's out of the equation, but I definitely think Stone Street has the running. Obviously, that's an obvious statement. What did he get? 8 tries in 11 games this year, something like that. It's a good chance for him, man. It's a good chance for him to really have a great off season and then have a good first half of the year. And then he's off contract right now. We know that. So it's kind of coming around Stone Street, a lot of weight on those shoulders, but that's probably what he needs, to be honest.
Well, there was a world where he doesn't re-sign with the Sharks, right? And he's probably over the moon, and not because his friend's injured, but because now he does have that open opportunity, right? Whereas, he could have gone to another club, at Dragons, Parramatta, something like that, and maybe be in a battle for somebody's spot, right? Whereas now he's kind of got a similar situation to this year, where he's being given 3 to 4 months to basically make that spot his own. and to become undeniable, to steal a line from Cody Rhodes, from undesirable to undeniable, he's got that opportunity to do that, right? So if he can really hold that spot down and Ronaldo comes back, it's going to be an interesting situation because Ronaldo comes back in the team. He's the heartbeat of the
Yeah.
team. I think I gave him the second best player of the season when we did the ratings last week. He's so vital to us on and off the ball. His energy that he brings, his carries, he's so important. Ronaldo walks right back into that team when he's fit. So it's going to be a really interesting situation because, you know, we do have Perth that's in the mix too. And if Perth likes a Katoa or Stone Street, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the club to make a decision quite early. Now, I kind of feel like if Sam had a big market for his talents, and this is not diminishing them in any way, I think a club might have snapped him up for next season, right? Because he was
Absolutely.
off contract this whole year and we only re-signed him recently, right? So I feel like the club feels confident that they can get more out of him and that they can keep him long term if that's the direction we want to go down. So I think it's going to be more of what do we do with Katoa, which is going to be quite interesting.
You mean long term? Yeah, I think that was always. I think that was always going to be the case because even if you let Sam go at some point, Katoa's probably the one you're going to let go before Ronaldo, as far as age and talent and the whole picture, but including age. So that was always going to be, I think, a Stone Street or Katoa kind of thing, if not both. So I think from a coaching point of view as well, and from a management point of view, again, no one's happy Ronaldo's gone down, obviously, but it's a good little refresher to see what these two wingers, in particular Katoa and Stone Street, especially what they're made of. And I'm backing him in. I think that I would hope he's going to take it with both hands and have a good off season and just come into the trials firing and then into round one. And if he does that, the job's his for half of the year at least. Like there's no doubt he's got the inside running. It's more about attitude and what he does, I guess, off the field and at training to prove that he's still the guy we saw earlier in the year. Now, he had some injuries as well this year, which was untimely. So, it's quite fascinating, though. Do you think that our premiership chances have lessened because of this, or is it just a minor kind of thing? Or
Look, if all the stars align and we're there on grand final day, I feel much more comfortable with Ronaldo being there. And I feel much more comfortable with us going to a final series with Ronaldo there. The fact that he should be able to get back for that, I think, lessens it. I would like to see us go into the market though and to get another player, just a little bit more coverage, just because like, all right,
oh,
so if Sam goes down,
mhm.
then we go to Hiroti, and Hiroti I think is a specialist centre.
Yeah,
Or you may be looking to move, you know, maybe a Michael Gabriel onto the wing or
yeah.
Viella onto the wing, and that's not really what their game is. They're both kind of centres, and then as well the younger fellas that we've got below them as well are pretty much out and out centres as well. And I think if you look at our depth chart, you know, we've lost Cade Dykes as well. I think if we could get a player that could cover fullback wing, I think that would be a wise investment for us, right? So, you know, kind of like and I know this is a bad example, but it's just one that's springing to my head. A Dane Laurie style of player who can play multiple positions. Not Dane Laurie
Uh-huh.
himself. I know he's just signed with
Yep.
Canberra, and I think
Yep.
he's probably too costly for what we would be after. But just a player that could play wing and fullback. Because I think if once we start going down our depth chart, after Will and Ison, I think there's a bit of a drop off there. We do have Roddy as well, but you know, we saw this season there was multiple injuries, right? And there was some times they were like, geez, who are we going to be able to put into some of these spots? The guys stepped up and did a job. But I just think our outside backs is a little bit thin. If we've got 2 or 3 injuries, I think we'd be in a bit of trouble there.
Fair. I wonder who they would get off the market though at this point in time. It would be
It would probably be a
the
guy that you're going to have to try and get off out of his current deal, right? And you
yeah,
know, who does that look like, right? So I'm just, you know, just jumping on
but
to Zero
also
Tackle right now and just having a look.
how do you do that? Because that would require probably some money and maybe the promise of more first grade than where you are, which we can't kind of promise. So it's a
Yeah,
tough one. But let's have a look. What do you
it's a
got?
tough one. Look, I mean, the style of player that you're going to be trying to get here is probably a
Yes.
player that's on the nose at their current club, or a player
Yes.
that's looking to maybe look at this as an opportunity to re-establish themselves and to get back into um, back into the mix.
In,
So
very
there's a
much
couple of names that
in a Billy Burns style of career
exactly
move.
right.
Yeah.
So Philip Sammy is a guy who
Oh
the
yeah.
Titans were talking about moving on and potentially going to the Dragons. I think Josh Hannay's came out and said, "Look, we want to keep him long term." Blah blah blah.
Good player.
So maybe
Yeah.
Sammy's not on the mix, but they're also talking about a Brian Kelly, and again,
Mm.
he's not really a winger, but he's an outside back.
But you're talking about the caliber. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of realm of player. A Jake Avarillo over at the Dolphins. So again, like these are the world beating players, but these are guys that potentially could step up and fight for a spot. A controversial one which I would not do, but you look at the Dragons and they've always got movement going on in their roster. You've got guys like Tyrell Sloan and Christian Tilapu. I can't pronounce that last name,
Just
but the
do the
guy that
money
just needs to
sign.
catch,
The money
yeah, the
sign. Yeah.
money ones, right? So like he's stuck behind a
Tuipulotu.
few players. Yeah, so like there's a few guys out there that you could potentially try and agitate a release. But I think if I'm going into the player market, I probably would prefer us to go and get a younger player that is less established. I know that's going against what I was sort of saying, where I wanted some experience.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would be rating the Penrith Panthers, the Warriors, and looking for an athletic back that can play a few different positions, and then try and getting him into our system, because you're going to have that shootout with Stone Street regardless. But again, what does that mean for 2027 and things like that? A bit of long-term planning, a bit of a fresh up, new face.
They did pick up the chap from Newcastle mid last year who played some Jets for us. Hasn't set the world on fire, but he is in the squad, and he is weirdly a fullback slash hooker, and he's a good size of a lad. So he could potentially, I'm not saying it's the way to go. In fact, I'm not saying it's the way to go, but they would probably look at what you're saying and go, oh, we got this guy. Maybe he's an option, but it's relevant you bring it all up, because I wasn't really thinking that deep. But you're right, like a couple of injuries, and it's like, oh, who's up next? A bunch of juniors coming through, but they're not close enough from a winger point of view, winger fullback point of view,
Yeah, center I
to
feel
step
comfortable
up.
with.
Yeah, definitely.
But just wing, I don't. And then also too, the drop off after Will onto Liam, and Liam's coming off an ACL, and he's only
Yeah,
played what, 2 NRL games. So
one.
again, I just think, yeah, 1 NRL game, which was will be 2 years at that point between games, right? So yeah, I think, and I'm not telling them anything they don't know, but I think that's something that the club is definitely considering at the moment.
Now, as far as I am aware, and I've got really good sources, as you may imagine, and if you don't, I'm not being a head swell, I've just got really good sources telling me this. The Jesse Ramien rumor flying around Shark Nation is not actually any truth to that. There's no truth to that. And the rumor that he was being shopped around. Now, it doesn't mean he's not, but I can tell you from a club point of view, as of whenever the news broke, it was not a club thing. So either it's manager driven, either it's media driven, it's somewhere in between. But it did get Shark Nation talking. We will talk about it here, but just disclosing on this show that we are of the belief that at the moment there's actually no truth to the rumor that Jesse Ramien is being shopped around. Doesn't mean he won't be, doesn't mean he can't be, but I'm just stating for a fact that, if you want to call it a fact, that I'm under the belief that he's not being shopped around. However, the story broke. The story was in one of the major papers around Australia that Jesse Ramien was being shopped, particularly to the Titans, which made some sense given Josh Hannay's new gig there. But we're going to just talk about what it might mean for us and what we think we should do in that scenario. Now, I can tell you, Kieran, that he is turning 29 next season. So he's 28, turning 29. He has played 170 NRL games, 153 for us. Went to the Knights for 1 year in 2019. He's coming off a indifferent season this year. Definitely not one of our star players in 2025. But having said that, in 2024, he's one of our best. So the man is not without talent, but yeah, disappointing season in a lot of senses. What do you make of this? What are you thinking? What's going on?
Well, he was up in Queensland, I think, doing some honeymoon stuff, right? So maybe that's where a few people thought, because I think he flew in and out of the Gold Coast from his Instagram. So maybe people were putting two and two together there with the Hannay stuff as well. But I think, look, if you read between the lines on that article, what it was
Yeah.
basically saying was Jesse's on, and again, these are the numbers that are in the article. I don't know if they're true or not. They're saying
Hmm.
Jesse's on about $500,000 a year. And then they're saying that the Sharks got salary cap pressures and are probably not going to be able to offer him a new contract for 2027. So that's not really groundbreaking. And that's not us shopping the player. That's just the media putting the spin on it, right? Because his manager's obviously saying, well, guys, you've got 4 or 5 days to lock down a deal with Jesse for 27. I've got 6 clubs that have registered their interest that are willing to talk to us, right? And
Hmm.
then the manager pushes that out as a story. It gets a bit of a buzz. It's this silly season, right? I think there might have been an appetite potentially at one point to look at maybe letting him go a little bit earlier. That's just my personal opinion. If we could get somebody of a similar quality in a different position, what that position would be, I don't know. But I think you've just lost Ronaldo right now. And I think making another change to your back line and losing more
Yeah.
experience is just going to hurt you, right? So
Yeah.
I think that would completely shut the door on Jesse leaving early. Because who would you be replacing Jesse with? You'd be replacing him with probably a Gabriel or a
Yep.
Vela, who, again, has 2 NRL games between them, when you've already now lost Ronaldo's 100+ games of experience as well, and replacing him with Stone Street, who's got like 16. So I, as a Sharks fan, I wouldn't expect to see him go anywhere for next year. I think it's entirely realistic, and I think it's probably the right thing to do, because he would be 30 coming in 2027,
Hmm.
to say, all right, we've seen the best years of Jesse. Jesse's had some financial hardships in the past with the situation that's going on. That was in the GoFundMe and all that type of stuff, that was pretty public out there, that, cost hundreds of thousands of dollars of impact. Let him go and get a payday. He deserves it. I think there's no bad blood from the club or from Jesse's standpoint if he goes and
No,
makes more money elsewhere. And I think it's a bit different to when he left last time. When he left last time, he had some family reasons, and we were
he
all
was
very
young,
upset because
super young.
he was young, and we saw the upside and the potential there. And it was just devastating to lose it, a young talent like that. But he's become such a part of the club and the community. He's a regular at almost every single coffee shop in the Shire. I've got no idea how he gets around like he does. But he's been a real mainstay of this club for years, right? So I would have no bad feelings if he took a great payday at another club. I think he deserves it. And I don't think it's I think the media spins hit pretty hard on this one, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And I have to point out that it is my understanding he has a relatively new manager. When I say new, I mean he's brought on someone new. I don't know who the guy is. I don't know what his history is, but he's under new management. So whenever that happens, you do see players being shopped around by the manager
Yeah.
because of different contract situations and their what they receive for new deals, etc., etc. So again, I'm not saying that has happened, but that could be a reason why the story is out there. Now, the reason you have your own show, Kieran, is because you know this club back to front, and exactly what I was thinking about the lack of experience next year if they were to lose a Ramien and then Ronaldo for half a season at least. Like that is not very Fitzgibbon like, and that is not very
Mm.
smart in any coach's regard. I know they play on different sides of the field, but still, you're talking about you'd bring in two either inexperienced guys or new guys to the club playing on either side of the field under the system they've been under for 4 years and going, good luck.
Mm.
And that's not, it's not impossible. Like, of course you could do it. You got a whole summer to learn the system, but it's not really the style of our current coach. And
Yeah.
I think that if there was any thought behind it, I think that maybe the Ronaldo injury has stalled that, like you said. So I completely agree with you there. And I agree with everything you said. Like, I think that he's been a really good player for us. There's no reason to think that next year he won't have a good season. Like this year wasn't great. It wasn't disastrous. It wasn't 3 out of 10s. He was just at about 5.5 in most games. And obviously, you need more than that. You want more than that. The year before, he was probably an 8 out of 10 most weeks. So he was definitely down
Yeah.
on form. But yeah, I think age is the big thing. Unfortunately, we're not ageist on this show, that's for sure. But he'll be 30 next contract time. So, as in for when he plays
27.
under a new contract. Yeah. So, that is for a center towards the end of your not career, but the end of your sort of best years in theory. And there'd be a number of guys that we know are ready to step up by that time, I think. And I think it works well on that side of things as well, Kieran, that you could have a Michael Gabriel and a few other of those guys that could play a few games next year without the pressure of being thrown in and you're our only hope. It's like, no, go out there and play 3 games and then we'll give you a rest, and however they do it. We know there's injuries. Like, I'm sure that these guys will get their chance, but then at least you'll have a Ramien there to come in and relieve the pressure should that need be the case. So it'd be interesting to watch. But yeah, I do think that his time will come. I just don't think it's when the speculation is saying it'll be.
Well, the interesting thing is, in August, we re-signed Michael Gabriel till the end of 2027, right?
Oh, yeah.
So obviously, if you're him and you've made all these rep sides in the lower grades, and you want to see a pathway to playing first grade, right? So obviously, he was off contract for the end of 26 originally. So the fact we've extended that out past where Jesse's deal is suggests to me we've at least had that conversation with Gabriel that there is potentially a position opening up. We don't know what we're going to do in the future with Jesse and his money, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's cut and dry that we just let Jesse walk. I think there will be a conversation. Do we keep him? Can we make this work? But I think from a managing dollars and cents standpoint, we need to, Michael's probably on half of, say, what Jesse would be on, right?
Yeah.
So that then you can spend that money in other positions and freshen the team up, because, going into next season, Will's going to be around that 28, 29 mark. And a lot of these guys are, right? And so this is really, I think, the last dance in a sense, where these guys are going to be putting it all on the table, because there will be movement at the end of next season. And I know that's a little bit frustrating as a fan, because you sort of look and say, well, I want changes now. I want new players. I want this. I want that. But I think the way our roster is constructed, I think there's going to be one more year of, putting out a similar squad to what we've got. And then I think 27 is going to be a big change. And also, when you factor that in, 27, the comp's going to be split a little bit more, because you're going to have the Perth Bears who are going to take 30 players out of the talent pool, right? So if we've got a squad that's signed on decent deals and, not a lot of movement, that could really work in our benefits, because a lot of the things that you're seeing right now, people are saying the top clubs are going to benefit in 27, where the struggling clubs are going to be really hurt by this new team coming in. And then you got that the next year as well with PNG too, right? So it's a fascinating thing, this contract stuff. I love it.
And we should point out that even if you take Chris Vela out of the scenario, just for the sake of talking about it, and take Michael Gabriel out of the scenario, there's 2 to 3 other outstanding, use the word outstanding, center talents coming through. They're a little bit behind where Gabriel is, but they'll be playing NRL the way they're trending within 3 to 4 years. Now, we can only have 2 centers, really, so you're going to lose some of them. But the point about, maybe the old dog moving on in a year's time, it stays relevant because of those guys as well. Like, they're really good talents coming through.
Yeah, and it also means that as fans, we have to kind of trust the process. And I am a Philadelphia 76ers fan, and that term can be a little bit of a joke. But the reality is, we don't go out and buy players, because we're bringing through really talented players. And, just Nakora Williams, for example, right? His resume in the lower grades is absolutely, it's one of the best in the game, right? And that doesn't necessarily always translate into becoming an NRL superstar. There's plenty of guys that have great junior careers and they don't kick on. But when you've got those guys in your system, you want to try and see if you can make it work, because those guys stay loyal, they stay with your club longer, and it's best for everybody, right? So we saw it with this current crop we've got now, right? We haven't had a lot of chopping and changing, but we've been consistent at the top of the table. And compare those results to the teams who have gone out and made splashes and signed big name players like Jerome Luai at the Tigers and all that type of stuff. they've been starved for success, right? So I think the stability can be frustrating at times, but I think with the right tweaks to it and bringing in some of these younger talented players and moving on some of the older players, you're going to find that right mix. Because when you look at 2016, that was the perfect mix of experience and youth, right? We had you guys like Valentine Holmes, Jack Burden, and they were probably 50, 60 games into their career by the end of that, maybe even less.
Yeah.
With the Ennises, Lewises, Fafitas, Gallons, Grahams, all that type of stuff, right? So yeah, if you can find the balance, I think you're onto something.
The other thing about Nakora Williams is we need to get him and Britt to play next to each other. So second row and center, hopefully the same side.
100%.
So it's Nakora to Nakora. Let's go. Oh, I can't wait for that day.
100%.
Now, as far as free agency goes, we're going to give a bit of a tilt to our friend Dave Riccio, and I guess in a funny way, the people that I work for, and that is a story about free agency that is on their website, top 33 targets, the top 33 targets. And looking at it, 33, so he's the least required at this point via this story, is Will Kennedy. We've also got Toby Rudolph at 32, Sione Katoa at 27, and Cam McInnes at 24. So they're the four main Sharks that the Telegraph have spotted as being free agents as of November 1, which is very soon, scarily enough. So, Will Kennedy. That's a fascinating story in itself. I think we will know. Do you think we'll know earlier rather than later what's happening with Will? Because
No.
You don't, because off contract November 1. So in theory, Perth can sign him next week, right?
Yeah.
For the year,
But like
for the year after. But
for 27.
are we going to wait for the bounces of the ball and see what Ison can do, what Ison can't do, what Will can do? Like, what happens if Will Kennedy is leading the Dally M's again?
Well, I don't think it makes that much of a difference, to be honest, mate, because I think that he's had 12 months to negotiate with everybody, right? And if a deal hasn't been struck with Perth already, then what's Perth's
Uh,
rush to go and make that signing, right? I mean, this is no disrespect to Will, but he's going to be going up against guys like Jerome Buller. And again, you can make an argument where you like Will better than, say, Buller, and I'm totally okay with that. You've got Selwyn Cobbo, who's got desires to play fullback, Jermaine Asako, who loves to play fullback but has been on the wing, Jaden Campbell is in the mix with the Titans and a few other clubs. So, like, there's a lot of players out there that can play fullback, right? And if you're the Perth Bears, you've probably got looking at it going, well, I can play chicken with the Sharks on Will and try and land, a Selwyn Cobbo or somebody that you might pay $1 million to, or Joey Manu, or whoever it is, right? And then if you miss out on that big fish, you then focus on getting Will. But the other thing too is you've got the whole Melbourne situation with R360. Like, they've got Farlongo at fullback. They've got Cameron Munster, who they were talking to about potentially moving back to fullback because of the Pappenhausen situation. Now, if Pappenhausen gets cold feet on R360, he could then go over to Perth, right? Or we could lose Toby Rudolph, Cam McInnes, Sione Katoa, Will Kennedy, and go and buy Ryan Pappenhausen.
Is
So, like,
is
there's so many things.
R360 still a thing at this point in time? Has it gone away, or is it?
Well, it hasn't seemed to have gone away, but I was talking to a couple of people that work at the NRL. Well, one person that works at the NRL, and they were sort of saying that it's going to be really interesting to see, because it's so hard to find tribalism in team sports, right? And Live Golf is the example that people use, but Live Golf, you're following the player.
Yeah.
Now, if you're asking people in Madrid and Miami to follow these rugby teams that is foreign to them, the game itself, like, they're not going to care that Ryan Pappenhausen is playing for them, right? And the Live Golf still loses money. I think for every $8 it spends, it only gets back one. So, like, this competition is going to be so interesting to see if they do get it off its feet. But I think that fear, and the funny part about this, when you see all these people talking about the bans are unfair and all this type of stuff, well, if you're so certain that it's going to work, then why would you ever want to come back? Like,
Yeah.
But it seems like it's scared a lot of the players, and it's definitely scared the managers because now they're all up in arms saying this is unfair. So a guy like Pappenhausen might want to return to Sydney, and then you've got a lot of salary cap space that I just mentioned between Rudolph, McInnes, Katoa, and Kennedy. You could create the space for it and backfill that with the guys that we've already got. Colquhoun takes over McInnes' spot. Stone Street takes over Katoa's spot. We've got 100 props. Tuku takes over Toby's spot, right? And Will is upgraded by Ryan. Now, signing Pappenhausen is an absolute pipe dream. Like, I would not get my hopes up for that, but I'm just using that as an example to say potentially we could move on some of those guys to make a splash in the player market. So for the Will situation, I don't think we're going to rush that either. I think we're going to see how it plays and see how it goes with Ison.
Now, you mentioned someone who is a centre / winger / fullback. How much would it cost to bring Jermaine Isako home?
He was one of my favourite under-20s players, and it feels like such a loss that we never got to see him play in the NRL for the Sharks.
Goal kicking.
But mate, when we talk about the player to fill Ronaldo's gap this year while he's injured, Asako would be the perfect guy.
This is what I'm saying.
A couple of years ago. Well, you saw a few years ago the Broncos let him go, and the Titans picked him up for half a season. But I think the Dolphins love him too much. He's been unbelievable there.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Like, I think he's not a fringe first grader. Like, so that would kind of put him out of the picture. But just you drop.
He would be my number one pick if we could bring in somebody. He would be the top of my list.
So we got Toby Rudolph on the list. We've got Sione Katoa and Cam McInnes. So I think out of those 4 guys, the one most likely to stay, I'm not saying he will, but most likely would be Toby Rudolph, because I think Sione, we've spoken about already about why he may be moved on at some point, not now, but at some point, especially for a winger who's going to be aging at that point. Cam McInnes, I think, unless Cam draws a line in the sand and goes, I want to be a Shark for the rest of my career, and he's what I'm willing to do, pay card, bench, etc., like, then we keep him. But if he sort of, for some reason, I don't think he would, but if he sort of was like, I want this, this, and this, you'd think he'd be moved on to Perth or somewhere else. And Will Kennedy we spoke about. But Toby Rudolph, out of all those 4, I think is the most likely to stay, because I could see him probably taking a small pay cut, not a huge one, but a small one, but also just being part of the system. Props can age a bit more gracefully, and he's in decent form for his career, that's for sure. It could be career best as far as I'm aware. I don't know. But out of those 4, he's maybe the most likely to stay.
Yeah, and I think the funny part is, of those 4 guys that are off contract, they would not be my number 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that I would resign. If I look at the list of Shark players that are off contract, we have 16 players off contract. So I'll just go through them really quickly, right?
Sure.
Beryl, Billy Burns, Jesse Colquhoun, Braden Hamlin-Uele, Tuku, Blake Hosking, Sam Katoa, William Kennedy, Cameron McInnes, both Purus, Jesse Ramien, Toby Rudolph, Sam Stonestreet, Sifa Talakai, and Vela. Now, on that list, I am locking Colquhoun down first, because I think the upside is there. I think he's not going to break the bank. And I'm keeping Sifa. I am firmly of the belief that he is so important to our team. Those would be the first 2 guys I would sign before I look to do anything with those 4. But even like if we, and I don't think we will, but if there's a world where we lost all 4 of those guys, like, I don't think that we're talking for 2027, so you've got to factor in age and all that type of stuff as well. I'm not heartbroken at losing any of those guys, and Sione's been one of my favorite Sharks of all time. But come 2027, like, I'm totally fine with us getting a new winger and trying something different at that point, right? But yeah, I'd look at that list of off-contract players, and it's not like we've got a must keep there that if we lost this guy, it's going to ruin our lives. Like, cast your mind back 10 years when we lost Michael Leacher. How do you say that? But the world was ending. The world was ending. Like, and he was like the next big thing, and Sharks, our whole fan base was losing our minds. We don't have that at the moment. I think the guy who would get closest to that, if he was to leave, is probably Riley Pollard. And again, he's on contract, I think, until the end of 27 or 28. So we've got our contracts really nicely sorted at the moment, I guess my point is. But I mean, is there one guy on that list, Sam, that would break your heart if they left?
Probably Talakai. Yeah, both from a fan point of view, but also from a, strategic stats, logistical point of view. Like, he's a very good player and covers a lot of holes. And I would hate to see him run out against us just from a playing point of view. Like, you imagine him coming off the bench, you'd be like, oh, here comes Siffer. So that'd be the one. We should point out that Beryl and Blake Hosking, who's a local junior and still pretty young, have both signed 1-year deals. So they will be off contract
At the
November
same time
1.
as those guys.
Yes, but just pointing out that they have re-signed for next year, which is awesome because I don't think we covered that before. And Blake Hosking has great quotes like, where is it? The club means the world to me. Growing up as a boy, I went to all the games. I want to learn off the boys. Keep pushing to be my best. He's a middle, essentially. So that is great news to have one of those fellas signed up again. And congratulations to Beryl as well, who's worked his butt off to be where he is in the rugby league landscape. Now, that was free agency talk. There's another great story doing the rounds, Kieran. I don't have the exact locations for you, but Peter V'landers was talking about opening round of 2027 being global round, potentially. It's not locked in. And he's looking at a Vegas-style type opening, except doing it all around the world for, at this stage, every game. And first thought that comes to mind is, are you crazy, man? But it is actually something you could do over a couple of days. We've discussed, you and I off air, you wouldn't do it over one day because it would mean a 6 a.m. start with a 2 a.m. finish or whatever. But over 2 days, it's a different story. And they've mentioned places like London, Las Vegas, I believe New York. Oh, maybe Ben Harlan was talking about New York.
Miami.
There was
Hong Kong.
Dubai, Hong Kong. Yeah, so all used to the big places like that. And I don't really know how I feel about it because when the Vegas thing was thrown up for the NRL, not for the Sharks, but for the NRL, I kind of scoffed and went, oh, yeah, that's kind of cute or whatever. But then I went and lived it, and it was actually really cool from all sorts of points of view. So I'm certainly not against it, but it seems rather ambitious. But knowing what V'landers is the guy who got the world back together when COVID was breaking it up. That wasn't an easy feat, and he did it. He's the guy that now is profiting off the Vegas trips. He turns dreams into realities. What are your thoughts?
My first thought is my wife's going to kill me if I go and do another one of these trips. Getting away
Has to
like
be
that
done,
from
though.
the families is
Has
just,
to be done.
well, depending on location, I'm absolutely in. I think that originally they tossed up Nashville as well. This wasn't in this story, but I did see them talk about Nashville around Vegas this year because I was in Nashville at the time. But for me, look, my other first thought is the poor Bears fans, right? Like, they finally get in the comp after 28, 30 years, and then they're sent to Abu Dhabi. Like, that would be a tough pill to swallow if you're a Bears fan. But
just be happy you're back.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, surely they would have to keep that game in Perth. Like, come on, guys. Like, you got a brand new team in Perth. Like,
no, it's got to be global. Nothing in Australia. Global.
So look, it does smell like R360. Like, we've basically said, well, we'll just do it. But like, again,
is that what you think it is? You think it's linked to that?
Well, basically, if you look at some of those locations, we're pretty much putting games in those spots, right? So maybe we're trying to get some of that money invested into our game, right? Because we've got the product for it. I definitely think it's a better product than rugby union, but rugby union would have to be refreshed a little bit to make it more exciting for R360. So maybe it's NRL 360. Yeah, and Braith is the CEO. Who knows? But I don't know, man.
That's like Jerry Seinfeld returning the jacket for spite.
That's it, right? So yeah, it's just one of those things where I think it's probably a little bit too much for me. Like, it's cool in theory, but like, the idea of watching a game at 6 a.m. to 12 at night is, does sound fun. But then also too, like, I'm not going to be sitting there all day. Like, I've got kids and stuff like that. Like, come on.
The NFL have been doing it lately for their Sunday, so they'll have a London game. So depending what part of America you're in, if you're West Coast, I believe it's more brutal. But for East Coast, it might be a 6 a.m. start, maybe it's 7 a.m. and then they take you through all the way. Then you have your normal games, and you through till 10 p.m. Like they've been doing it on their Sunday, then they have the Monday, they have the Thursday night football. But it's if you did it over 2 days, you would get your prime viewers watching. If you did it over the 1 day, it'd be a stretch.
Yeah, and I'm going to take you guys on a bit of a walk, right? So if I drop in or out, I do apologize, but I'll be back at
No
my
worries.
table in a sec. I'm just closing the windows because I think it might start to rain soon.
You do you.
But like, I just think having it in, say, London or like that makes sense. But then having it in Singapore and all that type of stuff would be easier for travel. But at the same time, I look at it and go, like, we're never going to have a proper presence in Singapore. And I know we're not going to have a
Yeah.
proper presence in America, but at least like that's a novelty thing, right? And I think that's worked really well. And I think if we overdo it, I think you're going to ruin it. But in saying that, like one of my favorite days of the year is Boxing Day and Christmas Day because of all the sport. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah, we have to wait and see.
I don't mind the sort of double header in London, then double header in Vegas. I think Andrew Voss might have been talking about that on his show this morning to sort of have a compromise and work your way into it. So you do double header in London, which would work, and then double header in Vegas, which seems to be working, and then half around in Australia or whatever. But I don't know. I guess with Volandis, what I've sort of been saying is he kind of gets what he wants. So the fact he's throwing it out there, I mean, he does tend to say stuff without thinking sometimes, but most of it's pretty loaded, loaded against the AFL, etc. He's definitely someone who knows how to work the media. So the fact that he's saying it, there's got to be some sort of truth and some sort of research done for him to throw it out there and go, well, maybe it's a 60% chance.
Well, but like also too, think about the fatigue that we had in Vegas this year at the game. Like we got there and there's 4 games on. Now I know they're not going to do all of them in the same venue, but like that's a lot. Like,
well, they've already
by the end of the
learned
4th
from that.
game, it was terrible.
They've already learned from that. It's going to be 3 this year. But also, that's on the punter not getting there 4 days earlier and drinking every night and eating
or
Betty's
drinking
burgers,
from like
whatever
10 a.m.
Yeah. So a lot of fun was had, though, it has to be said. My favorite moment was probably, recording that show in Vegas in the casino with you, with doing your Monday morning coffee, except it was Jack and Coke, because that's all you could handle. That was amazing.
Oh,
Go back and listen to that, people. So we'll see what happens, but it's kind of fun at the very least. It's fun to talk about. It's not fun to think about when you think about your finances and your family situation and whatever else you got going on. But what's your ideal spot for the Sharks from a personal point of view? Where would you like to go?
Well, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm heading over to Ireland next year in
I'm aware of
March.
this. I don't know if our audience is aware of this. Yeah.
So London will be off the table for me. Like if it's going back to London the year after, probably no interest in that. Hong Kong is a very fun place to visit. I've done a lot of work trips there. That could get my interest, and it's only 9 hours, so it's pretty quick. Miami, I think, would be a bit of a tough slog. I haven't been there, but just getting there versus getting to Vegas, for example, it's a lot more of a commute. So I guess for me, like Singapore, Hong Kong would probably be the ideal one. Hawaii, I think, would be the best one because then I could do like a proper family holiday.
I feel like that's been mentioned in the story, Hawaii.
Well, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nashville would be fun too, but I just did Nashville this year, so I think
Nashville,
that would be your choice, right?
Well, I wouldn't say no to it. I don't know if it's my choice would probably be New York. We could stay at Benny's house, just eat pizza every night, etc. But I think that I think if they went Nashville, it seems a little bit weird. Aside from the fact that it's very touristy. Like if you're a tourist, we would have a good time in Nashville. Like it's one of the places. Yeah. Yes, but from a sporting point of view, I mean, sure they have sporting teams and everything, and they have facilities, but it doesn't scream out Heartland Rugby League to me. But like, would you do Vegas and Nashville or not as an NRL?
Well, this is the thing. Like, I don't see a lot of value in doing. Well, you're definitely doing Vegas, right? So like that's locked in. But like then doing like Nashville and Miami and say New York, it's a lot. And at the same time, like yes, okay, we've just turned a profit on Vegas. Like let's not ruin a great thing that we've built now and go crazy. Like, but again, I really think it's an R360 tactic that we're doing this to try and push back on this stuff, because we're going to give our players the opportunity. Because, like, I was thinking about this watching some of the test match um, on the weekend, and I was
Mm.
watching Hudson Young, and I thought about Hudson Young's year, and I thought, well, like, he's played Origin, he played in Vegas, he's now playing at Wembley. And like, that's an opportunity a player didn't have, say, 10 years ago, like to go to
Yeah.
America and fly business class and play rugby league, and then play rugby league at Wembley, because we didn't have the Ashes and all that type of stuff, right? We would do Four Nations and that type of thing. But like, having proper structure to this stuff, I think is great. And it's extending out the season. There's a lot of positives to it. But I just look at, having, say, 6 games in America spread out across the country, I think dilutes it a little bit. And I think then dropping it in random parts of Asia and, Dubai and all that type of stuff, like, yeah, I don't know. But like, the Dubai one probably makes a lot of sense. And I think because that's an area that's buying up sporting competitions and trying to make it a destination like Vegas is itself. Dubai is an easy flight. That might actually be my preference. And also, too, imagine if we go to Dubai and some Saudi falls in love with the Cronulla Sharks and then decides he's just going to build us a new stadium in Dubai, and now we have to go there every 2 weeks. But please keep it in the Shire.
Yeah, I don't know if the best outcome for us is a Saudi operator. Just, I'm keeping it above board. I'm not being prejudiced or especially racist or anything, but just looking at what's going on around the world with sporting clubs and with nations buying them, I'm
Hey,
not saying no. I'm not saying no, but
it worked out great for
yeah.
the Knights with Nathan Tinkler, right? So, that it can't go wrong.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about people buying clubs. I just mean that part of the world maybe not what we're after, but who knows? Who knows what our board are thinking and the people in charge. I know they're pretty happy though, Kieran, because the motocross came to town, and
Did you go?
I didn't go. I have to say I was there on the Friday when they were setting it up, doing some business which will be revealed shortly, and it was really cool. It was wild. There was dirt everywhere. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not good with sizes and heights and that kind of thing, but it was probably, I don't know, 20, 30 feet high, some of the stuff. And
Yeah.
but it was just dirt everywhere, and they were molding it. And it was probably 3/4 done, if not more. But when I was there, a lot of people just working. And the other thing that was really cool was on the day I drove past, or actually I drove past while it was starting, and the parking in Dealer, where usually it's officials park
Yeah.
for all that sort of thing, that was all blocked off, and so they had all their big trucks and everything else. But there was also this VIP. Well, I think they call it VIP. You could buy a ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
But essentially, what I saw was tailgating, essentially. And it got me thinking, hey, this would be a great tailgating spot. Finally, I know where we can go. We can go across the road. And they had I think like a jumping castle and just fun stuff. But then I think they had like a bar, and it was very family friendly. I think they were doing signings. You could meet the riders and everything. So very interesting stuff. I think that it was a success as far as the Sharks are concerned. I'm pretty sure the Supercross people were pretty happy. And I would say it'll be a yearly event. And as far as I know, it's all positive unless we hear different. So, big crowd. I believe they sold all the seats and a lot of the general admission. So it was a big crowd, and it just looked amazing. Like, there's lots of videos flying around. If you look online, on social media, especially, you'll see it. There'll probably be some stuff on the Sharks website as well, sharks.com.au. But very cool. And what they did was they built a layer, and basically there was this like wooden platforms all over the field, and then they put the dirt on the wooden platforms. Having said that, the grass is being redone, so there's no issue there at all. I know Clinton's worried about that. There's no issue with the grass. They're returfing the grass anyway. It's what they do. But before they do that, so there was just wooden platforms everywhere, then literally mountains of dirt. And yeah, very cool. Very cool. So we'd love to hear from anyone who went down there with their experience, but it looked really positive to me, and I was blown away with what I saw a day before, just looking at it pretty close, and they turned it into a motocross event. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I saw some videos and I was like, that doesn't look like Shark Park. Like,
Mm,
and then
mm,
I went to Woolworths yesterday and I was coming out of that entrance, so it's right near one of the gates at Shark Park, and trucks were just driving out of there, just bringing all the dirt out. And
yeah.
my car was freshly washed, so I was really excited about that. But like the scale of the dirt there was just unbelievable. But then like having across the road with parking and all that type of stuff and the
Mm,
tailgating, like, it would be
mm.
so great if we could do that at Sharks games, but I think they probably just don't trust us to not get too drunk and leave our cars there, and then kids can't play sport the next day.
Well, I should. Well, yeah, that's the thing. They were using the oval for things. They were using the little car park, as little as it is. They were using that for things. So it was very thought out by whoever organized this. I'm assuming it was the Supercross people came.
Not a Sharks person then.
No, I'm not saying that. You took the words and you ran with it. We love our Sharks people. They run a great show. We know this, and they're friends of ours, especially who are listening. So we double down on that. But what I'm saying is, I think the Supercross people came in and they were like, "We'll use that mat," and I think it
Yeah.
helped there was no local rugby league on, obviously,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
assuming maybe that what else they did there, baseball, maybe cricket. There was nothing on, so
Yeah.
they got to use that. But yeah, it was interesting to see because it would be a great initiative for us to
Oh
do
yeah.
something similar, and people would come, man. Like, you build it, they will come. So that's a story for another time, but very cool. Very cool. The Supercross came to town, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But I think it's great. I know that the is it the Shire Mayor who listens to our show? One of the politicians in charge listened to our show, and he was there doing just social media and that kind of stuff. And he was saying it's great to see the Sharks using this as a non-rugby league venue, and of course, we know what we want out of that, and this
Mm.
can only help. Even
Yeah. Absolutely.
even my good friend Brandy Alexander, who everyone else thinks is anti-Cronulla. I saw him on Saturday night at work for the test match, and he said, "Shinaz, did I see that the Sharks are using Shark Park for something other than football?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "That's pretty cool." And we had a little chat about that. So very good as far as the PR goes, I would suggest, Kieran. Now, I think that is we've got one other thing to discuss, which we'll get to, what you did on the weekend, what I did on the weekend, and our ongoing quest to find out information about our local area. But we're going to do random Shark of the week. Now, I'm praying to the shark above that we haven't done this one. Now, if we have, it was a long time ago, so it'll get the memory going. But a lot of our listeners are a lot more aware of what we do on the show than what we are. So if we've already done this, I apologize. I feel like there's a 30% chance we've done this. But moving on, let's just pretend we haven't. This gentleman was born in 1980. He's a 1980 kid, so to speak. And he is a player that played 10 NRL games, just the 10. I don't even have any lower grade information. I don't have any test match information. I've just got 10 premiership games for him. And it was in the 2000s. So somewhere between 2000 and 2010, we'll call it. What do they call that? The noughties?
And oldies.
So he's a noughties player. He played in the finals every year that he played NRL. So he played 10 games over 3 seasons. They weren't consecutive seasons. There was a year off, shall we say. But 5, 6, 7. So over 4 seasons of NRL, he played 3 of them. And in 3 of them, the teams he was in at least played in the finals. Okay. And he definitely played in at least one finals game. He made his debut in the NRL for Cronulla at Sharks Stadium late in a year. Out of his 10 games, he won 3 of them. So just a 30% win record for this gentleman. Never scored a try. He actually never started a game. So he was a perennial benchy. Okay, one of your
Jeez.
favorites. Now, this is where I start giving it away to you. Okay, we have gone a long time on this pod, so it doesn't matter how long or short the random shark of the week is. So debuted in 2000. Actually, I'm not going to say we debuted just yet, but in the 2000s for Cronulla. Played at 3 different clubs, this gentleman. Okay, so he wasn't just a shark. Played at 3 different clubs. And what else could I tell you without giving it away? He was born, at least played junior football in New Zealand. He was at the Broncos in 07. He was at the Storm in 08, believe it or not. I didn't know this. I definitely knew about the Broncos. And he played in one of my favorite games, which I bang on about a lot. And we didn't win in that game. But we bruised a lot of people in this game. I got chills just thinking about it.
Is that the 05 game?
05 loss to the Dragons. This gentleman came off the bench, crunched some heads.
My mind's
he was
going
only
to
a shark
Clifford Manua's, James Stossix, but they didn't play for those other clubs. Philip Luai, did he? No. Yeah, this is a tough one. Is it Philip Luai?
It's not, but you're not worlds apart. You're not worlds away, I should say.
And Stossik went to the Titans. Is it Clifford Manua? It is Clifford Manua.
Random shark of the week is the mean Clifford Manua. Mate, how good were those times where we just had guys that would... I'm sure they were lovely off the field. There's no record that Clifford's anything but a gentleman off the field, but holy heck, man. Is he not one of the toughest sharks to ever play for us?
I just remember, I'm Googling him now because I can actually remember him in my head. And now I do actually remember him going to the Storm because I remember a lot of people were like, he's going to go to the Storm and they're going to show us what we should have done and all that type of stuff. Geez, 4 games.
Yeah, so he debuted, so 20, he was 25, 26 when he debuted and close to 30 when he was at the Storm. So it was a late career for him as far as NRL level.
Wow. He was a forum favorite. He was somebody that was hotly debated. And I think even like maybe like a relative or something like that, or somebody that knew him outside of rugby league was constantly pushing that agenda and saying, you know, what are we missing here? And how it was going to be the next big thing. But yeah, mate, that just takes me back to that jersey too, like where we like that was one of our best years jersey wise, and when the retro one that we used that year. It was such a good jersey, and that's what I remember him in.
So debuted against Manly in a win in round 24. And then that was his only game for the Sharks. But then we had a bit of an injury crisis, I believe, in the week 1 finals game against the Drags in Wollongong. And this is the team we went with. It's not a bad team, but this is the team we went with. It's a bit all over the shop, you'll see. So Peachy at fullback, the new Peachy, David Simmons on one wing, Luke Cavell on the other. Now, Bo Scott, who was named at 17, played in the centres, which is not his most favoured spot by me. Paul Mellor, but then you push Nigel Vungana to 5'8" with Brett Kamali. And your front row is Galloway, Kingston, Nutley, your boy Philip Luai, Phil Bailey, Paul Gallen is your back row. It's a decent back row. But then on the bench, you got Adam Dykes, Clifford Manua, Reece Williams, and Matt Hilder. So it's not the worst team by any means. It's a good team. It's just all over the shop as far as injuries and lineups. And you go to the Drags. I mean, Clint Greenshields, okay, fullback. But then you got Colin Best, Mark Gasnier, Matt Cooper. Their halves are Barrett and Hornby. Bailey Young, Riles the front row. back row is Sims in his 200th game, Lance Thompson, Sean Timmins. So they were Michael Ennis on the bench for the Dragons. So they were pretty good. I just remember we were very much underdogs. I remember like from betting through to media through to even fans just going on. Like I remember thinking, we don't have much of a chance here. But in that first half, we absolutely took it to them. And we led up until the 53rd minute. We led the game and we lost 28-22. So we didn't put it away, that's for sure. One of the great games, you can go find that one, but a very physical game. Like in that first half, we bashed them. We absolutely bashed them. I remember I just love that first half in particular. If you can go check that out. But you got it. There you go.
Just looking at that team, right? Like, does this back line not just scream speed? We got Peachy, Simmons, Bo Scott, Paul Mellor, and Luke Cavell. Like,
Yeah.
heck, how like
with
that
respect.
is no like at those ages that those players were at, like the Mellors and Peachies and things like that.
I mean,
like
Simmons
that's
was fast, but that's kind of all.
but again, like you go up Clint Greenshields. I remember it was another one that everyone was screaming out like the Sharks are going to sign Clint Greenshields. Like he's the guy, not
I think
David
he
Simmons. Like
was, from
Greenshields.
memory, he was solid, right? Like he was
Yeah,
stocky
he was
and solid
solid.
as a player.
Yeah,
And
he kind of like Daniel Atkinson type, like that sort of
right.
utility can play a bunch of things, right? But just wow, looking, I remember exactly where I was when that game was on. I was at a 21st birthday, and I remember my friend's dad walked up to me and just patted me on the back and said, "Mate, what are you upset for? They've got no chance here." And that was in the second half. But I think Lance Thompson came out and actually spoke about this game and said, because the Dragons finished first, right? And we were like eighth or something like that. Well, the Dragons were red hot favourites, and everyone thought they were going to win the comp that year. And he came out and said that because that game was so physical, they just did not recover in the rest of the finals, and he blamed that game for not winning the comp that year. And it was one of those big what if type things.
Dragons finished second. We were seventh.
Yeah, there you go. Right, and mate, you look at that forward pack with like just the like you can tell what we gave it to them physically. Like that is a tough forward pack that we've got there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember we wore the retro jersey too.
We did. Like we really. I remember another thing. They. I don't think it was an open training session, but I remember me and a friend and myself. We went down to watch it. I can't remember if we just walked in but there was a few people there, just like. I remember we had a beer. It was like, it might have been captain's run at night time, which is not a thing they do anymore. Or it was maybe the Thursday night. But I remember we went and we watched them just run around for a bit with beers. It was like kind of still a bit cool. And it was just, I was like, we've got no chance. Like we've just got no chance. Just because of the way that the team was thrown around. And yeah, I had not remembered, I'd not thought about that until just now for like years, but for some reason, as a fan, I walked in and watched them train to a degree with a friend, and there were other tragics there. I was like, "What are we all doing here? This is kind of weird." Might have been a forum thing, maybe someone on the forum wrote it, and we went down. I can't remember, but yeah, Clifford Manure and Philip Luluai. It was
Hutch guys that we got.
Hutch Mayova's sort of creeping around somewhere. Like we had some genuine bad dudes. When I say that, I'm talking on the field.
Like
Stosic,
just
tough dudes who really did the apprenticeship in cup footy. Like they're park footy players, and they've gone on to like have some career at professional level, which is awesome.
Through their toughness and physicality, like that was the traits that got them into playing first grade, got them an NRL contract by just being like the toughest guy in the room and being the most physical player on the field.
And even though these guys were younger when they came to grade, like honestly, the first time I saw Royce Hunt and Sifa Talakai in that off season when they signed their train and trials or whatever, I was just like, this is 05 again. Like this is Clifford Manure, this is Philip Luluai stuff, and they've gone on to have bigger, better careers, but same stuff, just working hard for it and tough physical guys, and a bit of fun there. Good stuff. Now, Kieran, on the weekend, you and I were both at our local beaches for different reasons, I guess, but same reason, just to go to a beach, have fun. you brought this up before, and you want our
and it
listeners
irks me.
to help us out. Where is Cronulla Beach? Because we have North Cronulla, we have South Cronulla, we have either side of those areas. You're not
Wanda,
sure where.
Allura, Oak Park.
Yeah. You're not sure where Cronulla Beach is.
Well, I don't think Cronulla Beach exists because when you say it to somebody that wasn't from the Shire, like when I first came down here, I would have assumed North Cronulla was
Yes.
Cronulla Beach because it's like
Yes.
smack bang right there where Northies is and everything like that. But that's North Cronulla Beach. Then you've got the next bit of sand over where the RSL is called South Cronulla Beach. So
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Cronulla Beach that area of the rock pools in between? Because where is
Well,
Cronulla itself? Is
but
it the shops?
Here's the thing. I'm Googling Cronulla Beach and things are coming up.
Of
Why don't
course,
you Google
but
it
again,
right now?
it's gonna give you
No,
North
it's
Cronulla.
being right. So that might be your answer. Like maybe
Well, then
we're just calling it North.
why do we call it North Cronulla? And it's
Maybe
North
we
Cronulla
call
Surf
it.
Club.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and then but the other surf club is Cronulla Surf Club, and I know this because I got in trouble because I signed my kids up to the wrong surf club. So
Well,
they were
put
really
it
good
this
about it.
way.
They changed it over. It's easy to switch.
Put it this
But
way:
yeah,
if you go to Sutherland Shire government website, Cronulla Beach is a place, and it
but
is.
again, you go on Google Images and like
Yeah.
Wikipedia uses like the RSL beach. That's what I'll refer to it as. Whereas the
Yeah.
Sutherland Shire Council, like that's what they're using is closer to Allura. Like I don't understand. Like Allura, whatever we call it these days. But then like there's North Cronulla. If you look at tours to Cronulla Beach, like it's all over the place, Sam.
Because
It's very confusing.
by your location, Cronulla Beach
Where
is
I would assume Cronulla Beach
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, first
No,
off,
because
just
you were
call them
saying
both Cronulla Beach.
no, but you were saying before it's actually like
The Northies one.
no, you said something really cool. Like remember we're trying to work out if it was in between. It was like a shop or
Yeah. So
something. Or was it?
is it the mall? Is that Cronulla itself? But like, I mean, I lived in Cronulla for years, but we just recently moved out of our house there. But like, is it the body of water between North and South Cronulla where the two rock pools are, and there's a little bit of sand there? Is that Cronulla Beach itself? Because why do we need to have the two different terms? Like, why did we just call one? Because
Well,
like literally, like where does Wanda start and where does Wanda end? Because you've got Green Hills. That's just this big bit of
no,
sand.
I think there is some. Surely there's some guidance as to where those beaches start and end. Surely, I was there on the
Well,
weekend.
so you've got the numbers, right? And the numbers as you go for the different pathways. And I can't remember the
Mm,
numbers, but let's just say it's like 1 to 50, and it starts
mm,
right down the end, and then it goes all the way to like Green Hills, right? So then you can
mm.
get a little bit of marks that tell you along the way where it goes. Now, I've not walked that entire thing, but I'm assuming one doesn't just say Cronulla; it will say South Cronulla, and one will say
Right,
North Cronulla.
right.
But look, it's just one of those things that as somebody that wasn't born and raised here, when I go when someone says to you, "I'll meet you at Cronulla," I
Yeah,
would not necessarily where I would go, even though I said North Cronulla is where you would assume the main one is. I would go to
South
South
Cronulla.
Cronulla.
Yeah, because the
That's where
train
I would
station's
go.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's also too like just walking down from the shops, like it's just a little bit closer than North
yeah.
Cronulla is,
I
even though
have
they're both same.
I have to say that if you didn't think about it too hard, or before you maybe got your bearings around Cronulla, or if you grew up here when you were young, like South Cronulla to me is always like Shelley and down that way.
Yes, that
Yes,
makes sense.
but
That makes sense.
in common knowledge, South is actually the family beach from the station, and North
Yes,
is the one near Northies.
yes.
And so your
So there is
point
no Cronulla
stands.
Beach.
Your point stands. Where is Cronulla Beach?
Yes. So I'm
Yeah,
sure someone will give us a really clear answer on this, and I'll look like an
absolutely,
idiot. But
absolutely.
I welcome that because I'm on a quest to learn more. And, I might even put this in a chat GPT and see how we go. But it's the amount of beaches that we have in this area it's absolutely insane. Like I grew up on the Central Coast, and it's
It's
like
wonderful.
this is Wombrel Beach, there is Terrigal Beach, there is like North Avoca and Avoca. That makes sense. Okay,
So
my brother live at North Avoca. That is clearly North Avoca. And then there is Avoca. There's no South Avoca.
Would you be happy if, for example, Wanda and Allura was just one family, one
Well,
title?
so you mentioned the mayor listens, so maybe we'll have to get him on here to clarify this. But I
He
would
does listen, yeah.
assume that it's because of the surf clubs and the amount of kids that are
Of
in the
course.
surf clubs and all that type of
Of
stuff,
course.
right? So look, I have no problems with that, but like you never hear someone that says, "Oh, I live at Wanda."
Maybe you do.
Like, do you know what I mean? But people say, "I live at Green Hills."
They do, yeah.
But people say I live at South Cronulla. And again, I
But if
technically lived in North Cronulla. I used to
no,
live
but if
in a house near the golf course, but I just said I lived in Cronulla.
yeah, but that's you. But if I lived opposite Wanda Beach, first of all, I'd be very happy. And second of all, I'd be like, oh, I live opposite Wanda, or I probably wouldn't say I live in
You'd
Wanda
say you live in
Cronulla.
Cronulla. Yeah,
Correct.
that's what I mean.
Correct. Maybe we'll get the mayor on, see what he knows about the place.
We should know these things. Like we need boundaries. We need clear marked beaches, and we need to avoid miscommunication so parents don't sign their kids up to the wrong surf club. So again, I signed up to Cronulla Surf Club, which is
Hmm.
the one underneath the RSL. So if you see me there on a Sunday, please come up to me and tell me about the history of
But
why it's called South Cronulla and we don't call Shelley and all that type of stuff South Cronulla.
where were you supposed to sign up?
So I signed up to North Cronulla because
Yeah.
I googled Cronulla surf lifesaving, and I think that was the first one that came up. And I
Okay.
signed up to. In my head, I thought that was it. And then when they said South Cronulla, and they do a lot of stuff at Gunnamatta Bay, I
Yeah.
just assumed, well, that wouldn't be the Cronulla one. That would be the.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm confusing myself here, but yeah, I was wrong. That is Cronulla Surf Club, and it's a great surf club. Like, shout out to those volunteers because I've got
Oh yeah.
a couple of young kids, and my daughter's a little bit timid with going in the water without a dad. And the young kids and the parents that help out there, it's unreal. And yeah, I'm amazed at the amount of volunteers that they have
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
that organization run so smoothly because it's chaos down there, not
Yeah.
because of what they're doing, but because of the amount of kids that you've got. And these kids are
Yeah.
doing their own thing, running around, going crazy, and they do it so well. So, yeah, if they could help me work out where Cronulla Beach is, that would be actually super helpful too.
Well, what you should do next time is just get out your voice recorder on your phone and do a little thing for the show, and we can run it, and we can, we'll do a little poll. Do you know where Cronulla Beach is?
I think most people would say, yeah, the out of towner would say Northies. I think the locals would say RSL.
Hmm. The great thing is, no one can send us hate mail about talking for this too long because it's at the end of the episode. It's not at the start.
I do know why you put it here because I could go on about this topic for hours.
I knew that you would, and I've got no problem with it. This is, when I said to you, let's have you have your own show. It wasn't really about rugby league. I think, remember, my idea was I wanted to talk about bagels a lot. So we haven't quite gotten there.
Do
But
you like bagels?
do I like bagels? I love bagels. What the hell are you talking about? This was going to be the show.
See,
Remember, coffee and bagels.
I like the blueberry bagels. I do like those, but the other ones like the cream cheese bagel. What are you doing there?
What are you doing saying that on your show, which I edit and put my heart and soul into, saying such nonsense? First of all,
Mate, I'm not a bagels guy.
Did you say blueberry bagel?
Yeah, blueberry bagels go good.
That's like at the bottom of the list. That's like I can't get anything else, and you bought one, and I'll say, yeah, I'll be polite and I'll have one. Everything else you said about bagels is absolute nonsense, and now I know why we've never spoken about bagels on the show before.
Give me a croissant any day of the week.
Oh, jeez. Now, look, I
ham
like
and cheese one.
croissants. No, I'm with you, but I'm gonna have to take you out to a few delis, I think, my friend, and we'll get you sorted because you're not having the right bagels. Clearly.
Where's the best bagel in the Shire then if you're this bagel expert? Because I get you right now, you can't name a place where you can get a good bagel.
Shire is a struggle, but I didn't say Shire. I just said we're going to get you one, so don't worry about that. Let's not get too controversial on the show, that's for sure. That's just a joke for people who know what I'm talking about. But no, bagels is where it's at, my man. We'll get you some good bagels, and then your life will be changed. I promise.
Yeah. Look, if I'm going for breakfast though, and I'm on the run, I'm getting a bacon and egg roll or something like a bacon egg wrap in Lily Pilly. There's a cafe there that does a great bacon egg wrap. But again, I've got to get Mr. Paisley's to have a bacon egg wrap because I had a bacon egg roll at Mr. Paisley's a while ago, and it was one of the best that I've had. So I need to get down there and get a good wrap.
As you can see on the ticker below, Paisley's is the only place you want to go for a bacon and egg anything. Now,
I'm sure they got bagels.
I'll tell you this: a bacon and egg bagel, it's pretty good with a few other things on there.
See, I don't even know where I would start with that.
You can do it. You can do it. It's not like a historically top of the list bagel you can do, but people do it. I've done it, and I've bought one as well. Like, you can make them, you can buy them, and they're great. You'll love it. So,
How much does a bagel cost?
like, if you're buying it at a cafe,
Yeah.
it would be probably slightly above your croissants. It might be like,
So you're getting ripped off.
depends what's on there, but it might be, if it's stacked with stuff, it'd be like 10, $11 probably, but it'll fill you up.
Yeah, I'm not rushing out of the house to get a bagel anytime soon. You haven't sold me here, but I'll stick with
No,
the
but
croissants and bacon egg rolls.
we will go for bagels, and your life will be changed. This is why we have to do the round one in New York. Benny Harlem right now is falling off his chair going, I can't believe Kieran isn't into bagels.
The only time I've ever had a bagel was in San Francisco at one of the places where I was working, and they so in America, in Silicon Valley, they like cater the offices, because like when you think of Silicon Valley, like I thought it was going to be like this futuristic place, but it's like Canberra, like with these huge boring old buildings, and there's like nothing around these buildings. So they actually bring in catered lunches and breakfast and all that type of stuff, and the only option they had for breakfast was bagels. Now, I've never had a bagel at the time before. I think I took a cream cheese once. Said, this isn't for me. This is not good. But I had the blueberry one, and I was like, I get it now. I get it. But I was the same with pretzels too, because I always assumed pretzels were like the packet pretzels that you get.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you actually get the fresh pretzels, which is
Soft,
quite
delicious.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in your quest to learn more, I'm going to teach you more about bagels, and we'll get you there, and you'll be a bagel guy. Trust me. Be open-minded
You got
about
12
it,
months
and we'll
to
get there.
convince me. Halloween
Yeah.
next year, we'll do a bagel special, and I will come back and say my thoughts. We're going to go on a journey for the next 12 months around bagels.
All right. Are you going to wear a skeleton outfit, like the skeleton outfits that the people wear for Halloween?
I might dress up as a bagel. Like, I don't know. I saw someone dressed up as a Labubu, and I don't know. I know you've got a son, but my daughters are absolutely obsessed with Labubu. So who knows what the next craze will be? Maybe it will be bagels, and everyone will be walking around as bagels.
In Melbourne last week or the week before, when I was down there, I don't know if it was a Labubu store, but there was a store in the middle of the city. It was packed, and it was something like that with little toy things, but mainly filled with adults. And we walked in just for a bit of a, not a laugh, but just wanted to have a look. And I legitimately didn't know what was going on. Like I felt like I was 400 years old.
It's like those adults that go to Bunnings and they buy up like the bluey garden gnomes, and the kids don't get them. Like, what's going on there? Why are we doing that to the kids? Like, let the kids have the bluey garden gnomes. Like, why are we got to do that and try and sell on eBay to try and make money? Like, come on, let
I
the
didn't
kids
know
have
you
this
could
stuff.
get.
They don't have Labubus.
I didn't know you could get bluey garden gnomes.
I think they do like a limited release of that stuff, but I think they actually had a falling out because they've got Hammerbarn on Bluey, and that's supposed to be Bunnings and all that type of stuff. But I think there's some royalty thing that came up because the Australian government didn't get the royalties, and the BBC does, or something like that. There was some big kerfuffle. So yeah, I don't even know if Bluey still has a relationship with Bunnings, but might have to put that in a chat GPT with Where's Cronulla Beach.
I'm friends with Bluey's dad, right? I've said that in the show before.
No, I did not know that. Are you really?
Yeah, I'm friends. Yeah.
That is incredible. That's made my morning. That is
True story.
That is incredible. And I remember I saw that they were on a talk show, the mum and the dad, and they were like, "This is the first time we've met," because they record things separately.
They do, yeah.
That's
Dave
wild.
McCormack, he's in a band called Custard, who were fairly big in the 90s and 2000s. He does solo work, and he's an NG. He's a very talented guy, but yeah, he started doing that, I guess, what it was, 10 years ago, whatever it was, and it took off. And I think his friend might have created, I should know more, his friend created the show, but yeah, Bluey's dad.
He's got such a unique voice that it works, and you can hear now, like on ads, when they obviously are trying to make it sound like it's Bluey's dad doing the ad.
Is Bluey's dad? I should send him a message, but is he doing an ad for Fox Sports or KO, or is that someone pretending
something
to be
like
Bluey's
that?
dad?
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
feel like
him.
it's
Yeah,
him.
it sounds like
I feel like it's him.
Yeah,
Yeah, bit extra on the side,
But mate, how much money must he be making as Bluey's dad? Like Bandit, Bandit must be making bank.
I think he's had a. So he's a very talented guy. He was a musician, made some money out of that. Nothing crazy, but his day job was sort of doing jingles and music for soundtracks and that kind of thing. That's a good income. Like it's fine. But yeah, I am assuming
Charlie
and
Sheen.
this say I know that he the lifestyle would, well, not lifestyle, the income would have changed dramatically, of course, yes. But yeah, Bluey's dad. I like throwing that one out there every now and then just to sort of feel good about myself that I know someone who's successful. Anyway, this episode's exactly what I want this show to be. Like everyone's like, that show was terrible. You didn't talk about the Sharks. Well, yes, we did. But the whole premise, in all honesty, to go kayfabe is break kayfabe is to Kieran. I said,
Nonsense.
this is the show. Like us at the cafe talking is what we used to do. This was it. We start on Jesse Ramien, we get the Bluey. So thank you, Kieran. And finally, we talk about bagels, although it went into a really sad way I didn't think it would go. But you're open to that
2
being
years.
changed.
2 years until we talked about bagels. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Kieran, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you again soon, and stick with SharkCast. Got a bunch of things happening. We can say that Ash, the club historian, did post a photo of my good self with a former Shark, and that's going to be an interview coming out probably in the next couple of weeks. It won't be like immediate, but next couple of weeks. And that's a project we're doing between the Sharks and between SharkCast. And something we're going to do as a series, and we hope that it'll take off. But we're not talking too much about it just because we're doing it kind of slowly and want to make sure all the pieces are in line. But he did post a picture of myself and someone who looked like Aaron Raper. So I can tell you that we've done a really in-depth interview with him. It's fascinating. He's unbelievable, great storyteller. And we hit some subjects that I thought we wouldn't necessarily be able to hit, and it was amazing. So that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. I'm not sure how long. It won't be months. We want to get a few more done, then we'll chuck them out there. But it's very exciting. I think, Kieran, you'll be especially excited by some of the people we've got lined up. I'm very excited. So it's under the umbrella of Sharks, SharkCast, and also the Great Whites playing group, which is the former Great Sharks. Basically, that's what it's going to be. So
can I make a request?
You can.
Can you do like a 3-hour interview with Sione Katoa?
Are you still a Shark? It's not former Shark.
Well, just like whenever that day comes, and I hope it doesn't come anytime soon, but just Sione for like 3 hours, like just sit in the silence, because he is one of the best interviews. Whenever there's an interview that I see pop up on YouTube, because I watch SharkCast on YouTube, whenever I see that and Sione Katoa is interviewed, I drop everything and I watch that interview and I just enjoy it so much. He's the best interview that you do. So if this Aaron Raper one is as good as that, then I'll be over the moon.
It definitely is. But yes, we'll get to Sione down the line, of course, in that way. It won't be for a while. But definitely not going to be like giving you names right now. But we've got a couple of guys who've already agreed. I mean, everyone will agree to it. It's just a matter of getting around to doing it. And because the Sharks are involved, it's a bit more timely and that kind of stuff. But that's one of the things we're working on. Another project we'll talk about in the coming weeks, which will involve Kieran and some of the other guys and girls around Shark Nation, is also exciting for us, looking back at a very particular season that's dear to us. SharkCast Pod signing out. Kieran, appreciate your time. Possibly our longest catching up with Kieran over coffee about Cronulla episode, which is fun. And have a good week. We'll talk to everyone real soon, that's for sure. Subscribe, like, etc. Share. It all helps, I swear to God. And particularly subscribe, because you never know when your next episode's coming. This is SharkCast Pod signing out on behalf of Kieran, my bagel-loving friend. Up, Cronulla.